Chapter 1. Secretary Bai. Your resignation has already been approved by President Lee. But he didn't realize it was you who's leaving. Do you need me to remind him? Hearing the news over the phone, Emma slowly lowered her eyes. No need. Just leave it like this. But you've been President Lee's secretary for 4 years. He's been most satisfied with you and relies on you the most. Are you really sure you don't want to reconsider? The HR person was trying to persuade her earnestly. But Emma Bai just smiled. No one is truly indispensable in this world. My parents are in poor health, and I need to return to my hometown for arranged marriage and settling down. Since President Lee has approved it, I'll follow the procedure and hand over my work. I'll leave after a month. Sorry for the trouble. After hanging up the phone, Emma continued packing up her belongings. She had lived in this villa for 3 years, and she had neither too many things nor too few. She threw away everything except for the essentials. Seeing the room gradually empty out, she spaced out for a moment as countless memories flooded back. 8 years ago, Emma Bai, an ordinary girl from a small town, got admitted to H University and became best friends with Julia, the heiress of a powerful family in Jingbei. Despite their vastly different backgrounds, the two girls hit it off immediately. They were inseparable, attending classes, eating, shopping together every day. Gradually, Emma was brought into Julia's social circle, met her family, and fell in love with her brother, Justin. But she buried these feelings deep in her heart, telling no one. After graduation, Julia Lee went abroad for further studies. Emma stayed in the capital city, submitted her resume, and became Justin's secretary just to see him more often. Until one accident happened. Justin was drugged by someone. When Emma was about to call the hospital, he, unable to control himself, pinned her against the wall, and overwhelming kisses rained down. After a night of entanglement, when she woke up, she saw him sitting by the window, his sharply defined face shrouded in swirling smoke. Calm yet desolate. Hearing movement, he turned around and asked one question. Do you like me? Emma instinctively wanted to deny it, but he continued speaking, his expression indifferent. You blush every time you see me. You remember all my quirks and preferences, and you rush to be my secretary right after graduation. Don't tell me these are just coincidences. Every word he said made Emma's face burn more fiercely. Whether from shame or guilt she didn't know. In the dead silence that followed, he suddenly handed her a card. Last night was an accident. I have someone I like. I won't respond to your feelings, and I can't take responsibility for you. I heard from Julie that you come from an ordinary background. The money in this card is enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Forget all of this. Emma Bai was stunned. It was then she remembered that during their time together the night before, he had kept calling out a name. Vain. Vanessa. In Julia's words, Vanessa was Justin Lee's unforgettable first love. He loved her so much that even after she broke up with him and went abroad, with endless rumors of new boyfriends, he still insisted on waiting for her to return. Emma remembered Julia complaining once. Our Lee family members are usually cold and indifferent. How did my brother turn out to be such a hopeless romantic? Waiting all these years and still saying that besides her, anyone else would just be settling, and he refuses to settle. Emma resonated deeply with that statement. Now, recalling it again, she suddenly mustered the courage to stop the departing Justin. I don't want money. I just want you to give me a chance. President Lee, please give being with me a try. If she doesn't come back, or even if she does and you still can't let her go, on that day, I will leave on my own. Facing her gaze brimming with love, Justin was stunned for a few seconds, then left with just one word. As you wish. From then on, Emma was his secretary by day, and his private bed companion by night. Their traces of absurd passion were left everywhere, in the office, in the Maybach, by the villa's floor-to-ceiling windows. 4 years passed. No one knew about their secret relationship, and she savored it willingly, until a few days ago, on his birthday, Emma prepared many surprises, wanting to celebrate for him, but by midnight, she hadn't seen any sign of him. Instead, she received a post on his social media. The best birthday gift is getting back what was once lost. Justin, who had never posted on social media before, shared a photo of himself kissing Vanessa under a sky full of fireworks. Seeing that photo, the blood drained from Emma's face. and her chest tightened painfully, clinging to a final shred of hope. She called him, but it was Vanessa who answered the phone. After calling hello a few times and receiving no response, she casually turned to Justin. "Justin, who's this Emma calling you?" "She's not saying anything." A moment later, his deep and indifferent voice came through the speaker and into Emma's ears. "Someone unimportant. Ignore it. Be good and go back to sleep." At that moment, Emma knew it was time for her to exit the stage. She packed up her belongings and prepared to leave, only to bump into Justin at the door. Because they had been sleeping together daily, for convenience, Emma had been staying at his villa, but now, she couldn't stay any longer. Seeing her carrying her things, his gaze tightened slightly, but he didn't try to stop her. "Found a place to stay?" "Yeah, the same old apartment I used to rent. I talked to the landlord, I'll rent it for a month." Hearing that, Justin Lee frowned slightly. "1 month? Why?" Emma Bai was about to explain, but he didn't seem very interested. In a deep voice, he said, "I'll drive you." She wanted to refuse, but Justin insisted. "The snow is too heavy, and it's too late. If anything happens to you, Julie would be upset." Emma had no choice but to get into the car. Once, they had done countless absurd things in this very car, but now, she could barely recognize it. The car was filled with all kinds of cute plush toys. The seat covers had been changed to Hello Kitty, and there were snacks everywhere. It was hard for Emma to imagine that someone as cold, decisive, and restrained as Justin would decorate his car like this. Noticing her gaze, Justin gave a simple explanation. "Vane likes these." Emma understood what he meant. After a long silence, she replied softly, "You've finally got her back. President Lee, I'm genuinely happy for you." Justin hadn't expected her to say that. His eyes darkened slightly, and he said nothing more. Halfway through the drive, Vanessa called, saying she wanted to build a snowman with him. He pulled the car over, intending to head over right away, but hesitated when he looked at Emma beside him. Emma knew what he was struggling with, so she opened the door on her own. "President Lee, I'll just grab a cab back." Justin Lee gave a faint mem, got out of the car, and helped move her things. As she fumbled with her grip, her suitcase fell to the ground. When he bent down to help, the streetlights illuminated the scattered contents, and he froze for a second. Love letters written to him but never sent, candid photos she had secretly taken of him, and even things he had casually discarded but she had picked up and kept. Emma's heart jolted violently. She hurriedly scrambled to gather everything up. "Sorry." Justin said nothing, got back in the car, and sped away. Emma stood alone in the snow for a long time, unable to hail a taxi. She thought about carrying her suitcase and walking home, but she was hit by an electric bike and fell. A gash over 20 centimeters long opened on her calf, blood spilling everywhere. Watching the hit-and-run vehicle speed away, she gasped in pain, lying in the snow for a long time, unable to get up. Once the worst of the pain passed, she limped through the snow for 4 hours before finally making it back to her apartment. After tending to her wound, she turned on her phone and found a message from Justin sent after he had left. "Don't ever love someone so blindly again. There are plenty of men with 2 legs out there. Don't hang yourself on my tree." Emma stared at that message for a very, very long time. At dawn, she lit a fire downstairs and burned the entire box of things, and the love that had burned fiercely within her for 8 long years turned into ashes along with it. "Justin, I will grant your wish." Chapter 2. After resting for 2 days over the weekend, Emma arrived at the company on time Monday morning. She handled her tasks as usual and went to notify Justin that a meeting was about to start. Walking up to his office, she caught sight of Vanessa through the slightly ajar door. Vanessa was sitting on Justin's lap, feeding him half a cookie she had eaten. The man, who was always known for his obsession with cleanliness, smiled as he ate it, then kissed her fingertips affectionately, his tone gentle. "You kept mentioning yesterday that you missed the desserts from this place. I lined up for 3 hours this morning to get them. How does it taste?" "It's delicious, sweet but not cloying. Just like before. You used to go far out of your way just to buy them for me. Now that you're the CEO of the group, why do you still go yourself? You could just send a secretary." Justin gently massaged her ankle, his eyes brimming with tenderness. "If it has anything to do with you, I want to do it myself. I don't want anyone else involved. A sweet smile blossomed on Vanessa's face. She wrapped her arms around him and kissed him. He embraced her in return, deepening the kiss. Completely lost in her. Watching this scene, Emma's breathing stalled, and a sour bitterness spread through her chest. She clenched her fingers tightly, her knuckles turning white, her palm a bloody mess. Minute by minute, time ticked away. It was almost time for the meeting. Emma Bai steadied herself, lifted her hand, and knocked on the door. President Lee, the meeting is about to start. Hearing her voice, Justin paused slightly, about to get up when Vanessa pulled him back. I don't want you to leave. Stay with me a little longer, okay? Seeing her act so coy, Justin's heart melted. The meeting will be postponed by 2 hours. The project to be discussed at the meeting involved major cooperation among several top groups in the capital and was crucial for the company's future development. Emma knew its importance and couldn't help but gently remind him. CEOs from the Lin, Ku, and Yi groups are already waiting in the conference room. Ugh, Justin, your secretary is so annoying. Doesn't she know how to read the room? Hearing Vanessa's complaint, Justin's face turned cold as well. I said, the meeting is postponed by 2 hours. Nothing is more important than Vane. Emma's chest tightened, and it became difficult to breathe. But in the end, she merely closed the door silently and turned away. Everyone in their circle knew Justin was a workaholic, no matter how busy his private life was. Even after undergoing surgery, he would still manage to handle all his work. Postponing such an important meeting just because of a few coquettish words that had never happened before. Did he really love Vanessa that much? Emma lowered her dim eyes, forced herself to gather her emotions, and walked into the conference room to apologize to the CEOs. The Lee family was powerful and influential, so although these CEOs were displeased, none dared to directly criticize Justin. They vented all their anger on her instead. Emma didn't dare talk back. She could only bow her head and endure the scolding. After 2 agonizing hours, Justin finally showed up, dragging her numb and aching legs out of the conference room. Emma was stopped by Vanessa again. You're Emma, right? Justin said you made great coffee. Everyone in the office looks pretty tired. Go make a cup for each of them. I want mine iced. No sugar. Emma knew Vanessa was being bossy because of Justin's favor, but she didn't dare refuse and headed to the break room. It took her 2 hours to make over 400 cups of coffee and serve them one by one. But the moment Vanessa took her first sip, her face changed. She picked up the cup and hurled it at Emma. The hard mug hit Emma's forehead, splitting the skin open into a gory, terrifying wound. Emma gasped in pain, her entire face contorting as she cradled her injury and fell to the ground. Still not satisfied, Vanessa picked up more cups and hurled them at her one after another. Emma's entire body was bruised and battered, with shattered ceramic shards cutting bloody gashes across her skin. Brown coffee soaked her completely, mixing with red blood as it dripped onto the floor. The pain was unbearable, but she could only curl up on the ground, shielding her head and heart. The office was deathly silent. No one dared to step forward to stop it. They all kept their distance, watching Vanessa throw her tantrum. Soon, the commotion drew Justin out. He took in the scene, the wrecked office and Emma, lying battered and bruised on the floor, with a deep frown. What's going on? Seeing him, Vanessa immediately put on a pitiful expression. Justin, I asked your secretary to make me a cup of coffee. I'm on my period, and she still put ice in it. My stomach hurts so much now. Looking at her teary eyes, Justin's face darkened instantly. You've been with me for 4 years, and you can't even handle something this basic? Or do you have a problem with Vane and are targeting her on purpose? Emma lifted her pale, battered face, trying to explain, but he didn't give her a chance to speak. He directly called in his assistant. Emma violated company policy. Dock her salary for this month and her quarterly bonus. Announce it company-wide, and she will deliver a public self-criticism at next week's general meeting. After saying that, Justin took off his jacket, wrapped it around Vanessa, and left holding her in his arms. Chapter 3. Watching his figure gradually disappear, the tears Emma had been holding back finally fell. She forced herself to stand up, enduring the pain as she fetched a broom and a mop to clean up the shattered mugs and spilled coffee. Several kind-hearted colleagues came to help, their eyes full of pity as they looked at her. I clearly heard that young lady say she wanted it iced without sugar. How could she turn around and blame you? Emma, did you somehow offend her? Offend her? No need for that. I've heard plenty say she's just that arrogant and domineering. She throws tantrums whenever she's slightly unhappy. Lots of people in our circle can't stand her, but no one dares to cross her because she has President Lee's favor. Sigh. I've never seen President Lee like anyone this much before. Emma, you should be more careful. We're just ordinary people. We can't compete with heiresses like her. And with Lee as her backer, even if you're wronged, you'll just end up being the punching bag. Emma knew they meant well, but hearing those words left her overwhelmed with mixed emotions. She couldn't say a single word. In the past, when a mistake in a contract arose, it was the client's fault. Yet she was blamed. Justin had firmly believed in her innocence, fought back with reason, and finally cleared her name. But now, Vanessa told one casual lie, and without verifying anything or giving Emma a chance to explain, he placed all the blame on her. All the careful work she had done, all the troubles she had helped him resolve, did none of it earn even a little trust? Or maybe, in his heart, truth and fairness no longer mattered, only Vanessa's happiness did. Thinking of this, Emma felt an unbearable sourness and sharp pain. It took her a long time to clean everything up, dragging her exhausted body home. She had just finished washing up when Justin Lee called again. Bring some brown sugar and heating pads over. She prepared everything as quickly as possible and delivered them to his villa. It had only been 2 or 3 days, yet the once minimalistic and elegant villa had undergone a complete transformation. The peach tree Mr. Lee had personally planted back in the day was removed, replaced by a garden full of tulips. The black and white furniture had been swapped for a pink color scheme, Justin's least favorite, and the display cabinets were now filled with jewelry, handbags, and gifts. It was obvious this was all in Vanessa's taste. Emma silently took it all in, walked to the bedroom with the light on, and knocked on the door. After a moment, Justin opened the door, took the items from her, and finally looked at her. Now that the coffee stains had been washed off, the wounds on her face looked even more shocking, making him freeze for a second. You're hurt this badly? Did you see a doctor? Emma said nothing, just shook her head. He pressed his fingers to his temples, his tone unusually gentle. Vane was just feeling unwell. She didn't mean to take it out on you. Don't take it to heart. The docked salary will be added back into your year-end bonus. Go to the hospital later. If it's serious, take a few days off. I've approved it. You don't need to go through the formal process. No need. After this month I'll be. Emma tried to tell him she was resigning soon, but he didn't let her finish. He handed her a card, cutting her off. Be good. I still need your help organizing a welcome party for Vane. Rest well and get better. The words she hadn't finished were stuck in her throat. She answered with a hum, took the card, and left the villa. As the door closed, she heard Vanessa's playful voice. Justin, isn't the brown sugar water ready yet? I want you to rub my tummy. I'm coming. Just lie down and don't move around. Hearing his voice so tender and full of affection, Emma smiled quietly, a trace of self-mockery flashing in her eyes. She too had suffered from terrible menstrual pain. Several times she had collapsed at the company and had to be sent to the hospital by colleagues. Justin had known, but all he ever did was approve her leave. He never came to see her, never prepared brown sugar water, or heating pads. Back then, she thought he was just too busy, tied up with work, but now it was clear, he simply didn't care enough. After leaving the villa, Emma Bai went to the hospital to get her wounds bandaged. After resting at home for a few days, she received an event plan from the assistant. The requirements were extremely strict, from the choice of flowers to the type of desserts, even the uniforms of the wait staff. Emma had only 3 days. She pulled herself together and got to work. After days of exhausting preparation, the welcome party she organized began promptly at 7 p.m. Vanessa appeared under the spotlight, dressed in a custom-made haute couture gown. The guests swarmed around her, showering her with praise, making her beam with joy. It's been years, but Miss Sue is still as noble, elegant, and dazzling as ever. This welcome party is so grand, it's clear President Lee's affection for you hasn't faded at all. I remember back in school, when someone confessed to Vane, President Lee forced that person to transfer any love letter sent to her. He tore them up one by one, and when people talked about her behind her back, He would teach those punks a lesson and leave them with broken bones. Everyone in our circle knows Vane is President Lee's first love. His most treasured jewel. Look at the jewelry she's wearing tonight, must be worth tens of millions. And this dress, one of a kind. Custom made worldwide. President Lee spares no expense to make her happy. Chapter 4. Emma stood silently not far away, listening without saying a word. Vanessa strutted over, looking at her with open disdain. You organized the party well enough. But there's a small problem, there's no carpet in the hall. My dress got dirty. To make up for this mistake, you'll carry my dress for me. Emma kept her head down, her tone steady and respectful. Please wait a moment. There's carpet backstage. I'll have someone lay it down right away. Seeing that Emma still dared to refuse, Vanessa's face darkened instantly. Justin happened to walk in and, noticing Vanessa's unhappiness, immediately rushed over. What's wrong, Justin? I don't want to get my dress dirty. I asked your secretary to carry it for me, but she refused. Is she still holding a grudge over what happened last time? Seeing Vanessa's aggrieved look, Justin quickly pulled her into his arms and looked at Emma coldly. Carrying a dress is part of your duties. You're not new to being a secretary. You can't even handle something this simple? The surrounding guests began whispering, their words laced with mockery. A secretary giving Miss Sue attitude? Does she even know her own worth? Not everyone is born equal. A young lady like her deserves to be pampered. Some people should feel honored to even be asked to carry a dress. She shouldn't be so ungrateful. Hearing all the sarcasm and ridicule, Emma's eyes dimmed. She suppressed the humiliation churning inside her, bent down, and lifted the hem of the dress. Vanessa dragged Justin Lee upstairs and downstairs, deliberately making things difficult. The hem was embellished with countless pearls. Emma's arms soon grew sore and numb, but she forced herself to endure. Still not satisfied, Vanessa had several people bring over lots of wine, then crooked her finger at Emma. I don't feel like drinking tonight, but my friends came all this way, and it would be rude to refuse. You drink all of these for me. I'm allergic to alcohol. Justin, look at her. Emma had barely begun to explain when Vanessa started whining. Justin, fully aware of Emma's alcohol allergy, still chose to coax Vanessa instead. You always carry allergy meds with you, right? Take them and drink. It should be fine. His commanding tone sent Emma's heart plunging into the abyss. Her face turned even paler. She silently pulled out her medicine and swallowed a few pills. Soon, a crowd of guests came over with glasses in hand, offering toasts. Emma could only lift her own glass and gulp down drink after drink. Her stomach churned violently, waves of nausea crashing through her. Her mind felt like it was filled with glue, her vision becoming increasingly blurry. As the world spun around her, Emma heard Vanessa shriek, Justin, the necklace you gave me is gone. The only person who came close to me was your secretary. It must be her. She stole it. The baseless accusation jolted Emma into a brief moment of clarity. President Lee. It wasn't me. Justin looked at Vanessa's teary eyes, then at the drunken and disheveled Emma, his expression growing heavier. There were a lot of people around just now. It could have just been misplaced. Let's search the area first. But Vanessa refused to back down, shaking off his hand angrily. If it wasn't her, who else could it be? It's because it was a gift from you that I'm so upset. Yet you're still defending her? If you refuse to search her, then don't come to me again. With that, she turned to storm off. Justin quickly pulled her back and coldly called over the security guards. In the next second, several guards pinned Emma to the ground, roughly tearing at her clothes. Her mind went blank with a loud roar. She struggled desperately but couldn't overcome their brute strength. Her blouse was ripped into strips, her skirt torn apart, her skin bruised and bloodied from their rough handling. A crushing wave of humiliation overwhelmed her, and she couldn't help crying out for help. I didn't do it. I swear it wasn't me. But her cries were met with only harsher treatment. The guards grabbed at her undergarments, about to strip them away. Justin, unable to bear watching any longer, was just about to intervene when several servers came rushing over. We found it. The necklace was on the stairs. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on the dazzling diamond necklace in the server's hands. Justin's tightly furrowed brow relaxed a little. He waved the guards off. Then he personally picked up the necklace and placed it around Vanessa's neck, his voice softening. The necklace is found. Don't be upset anymore, okay? Vanessa finally smiled through her tears. She clung to Justin's arm, looking down at the utterly humiliated Emma Bai on the ground, and pouted playfully. Luckily it was found. Otherwise, I would have been sad for a long time. But your secretary suffered such humiliation because of this. Should I apologize to her? For a moment, everyone's eyes landed on Emma, whose clothes were torn and who huddled herself tightly, facing their malicious stares. She could only shrink into a ball, hugging herself tightly. Through the endless pain, she heard Justin Lee's cold and indifferent voice. No need to apologize. She's just a secretary. A little suffering is no big deal. Chapter 5. A simple sentence, yet it stabbed into Emma's chest like a sharp blade, tearing her heart into shreds of bloody flesh. Her heart, already riddled with wounds, felt like it was being ripped apart, causing her unbearable pain. Her mind buzzed loudly, and her eyes became numb and hollow. At some point, everyone in the hall had left, leaving only the glaring lights shining down, exposing every injury on her body. Enduring the pain, she struggled to get up, picked up a jacket kindly thrown aside by a server, wrapped it around herself, and stumbled away. Outside, a torrential downpour was falling, but she walked into it, unaware. The cold rain splashed against her face and slid down drop by drop, resembling tears. But she had no tears left to cry. She didn't know where she was going, wandering aimlessly through the streets. After a while, a car pulled up beside her. The window rolled down, revealing Justin's cold and striking face. Get in the car. Emma acted as if she hadn't heard, dragging her heavy body through the rain with difficulty. Justin frowned, his voice growing more forceful. Get in. Emma paused, lifting her deathly pale face to look at him. There's no need for your concern, President Lee. I'm just a secretary. Her voice, cold as frost, made Justin's heart tremble violently. He opened the car door and stepped into the rain, gripping her hand tightly. What happened tonight was my failure. But I've already lost Vane once. I can't lose her again. Whatever humiliation you suffered, I will find a way to make it up to you. Don't be angry with me over this. This time, Emma did not compromise. Using the last of her strength, she shook off his grasp and stepped back, her voice as lifeless as still water. President Lee, you must be joking. How could someone as ordinary as me dare to be angry at a young master like you and a lady like Miss Sue? It was my own foolishness and naivety that made me forget my place. From now on, I will remember that I am just a secretary. I won't disturb your life again. Are you satisfied now? Can you let me go? The more she spoke like that, the angrier Justin became. His face darkened, his emotions spiraling out of control. You know that's not what I meant. I never looked down on you. I said those things just to comfort Vane. In my heart, you and Julie. Whatever he said after that, Emma didn't hear a word. Her vision grew blurrier and blurrier. Her eyelids felt unbearably heavy. All her strength drained away, and with a sway, she lost consciousness. She didn't know how much time had passed. When she opened her eyes again, Emma found herself in a hospital. Her wet clothes had been changed, and her wounds had been treated and bandaged. Medicine and a glass of warm water sat by her bedside. A nurse adjusting her fore noticed she had woken up and gave her a kind smile. You're awake. Your boyfriend stayed with you all night. He just left. Emma parted her parched lips, her voice hoarse beyond recognition. He's not my boyfriend. He never was. She and Justin Lee had only ever been an accident. Aside from her identity as his secretary, he had never acknowledged any other relationship between them. In the past, she had lied to herself, indulging in fantasies about a future. But now, she only wanted to wake up from that dream and leave this place forever, never to return. Chapter 6. After staying in the hospital for a few days, Justin never came to visit again. He merely had his assistant send a message, telling her to rest well and return to work once she recovered. Emma Bai no longer forced herself either. She fully healed her exhausted body before being discharged. During that time, the company's private group chat buzzed nonstop, with everyone discussing Justin and Vanessa. He booked Disneyland for an entire week to celebrate her birthday, the brilliant fireworks blazing for 3 days without stopping. He brought her to the family banquet and personally handed her the heirloom bracelet meant for the future daughter-in-law. He bought a piece of land, intending to build a private ski resort named after Vanessa. Emma quietly read all these updates without a ripple of emotion in her heart. After being discharged, she returned to work as usual, performing her duties meticulously. Only when matters involved Justin directly did she discreetly pass them to other secretaries. After enjoying a rare week of peace, Justin called her again. After delivering the documents he needed, she was about to leave, but he stopped her. I have a meeting to attend. Vane doesn't like eating alone. Stay here and keep her company. Her face stiffened. She was about to refuse, but Vanessa, out of habit, bossed her around. I want to eat shrimp. Peel a plate for me. Justin closed the study door behind him. Emma had no choice but to swallow her words and walk over to the dining table. After peeling a plate of shrimp, Vanessa had someone bring a large tray of walnuts and jackfruit. I want some fruit after the meal too. There's no tool here, use your hands. Staring at the hard nutshells and sharp jackfruit thorns, Emma's heart sank. She knew Vanessa was deliberately making things difficult, but she could only obey. After peeling the walnuts and opening the jackfruit, both her hands were pierced and bleeding profusely. Still not satisfied, Vanessa ordered her to fetch soup from the kitchen. The soup had just been taken off the stove, steaming hot, burning Emma's hands bright red. The pain made it impossible for her to hold steady. Her hands slipped, and the scalding soup splashed all over her. Within seconds, several large blisters appeared on her hands, the scalding pain surging violently. She bit down hard on her lip to stifle the moans of agony. Seeing Emma fall to the floor, Vanessa laughed gleefully. But the next moment, hearing the study door open, she quickly wiped away her smile and feigned scolding. Justin, I heard you say your secretary was capable. How could she spill the soup and scald my hand? Hearing this, Justin immediately panicked, striding over in large steps. Where are you hurt? Let me see. Does it hurt badly? Vanessa lifted her hand, which she had just pinched to make red, and squeezed out a couple of tears. Just a few splashes. I don't know if it'll leave scars. You're so careless. Vane has been pampered since she was a child and has never suffered a single injury. You couldn't even carry a bowl of soup properly? You should have kept your distance. Justin's face darkened, and he scolded Emma sharply. Yet when he saw the injuries on her, he couldn't say anything harsher. He could only pick Vanessa up to treat her burns. Before leaving, seeing Emma still standing dazedly in place, he called out in a deep voice, "Come to the hospital too. Get your wounds treated." Emma could only endure the pain and follow them into the car. All the way there, Justin drove very fast. Vanessa, worried he might notice she was faking, kept pretending to wince and groan in pain. Hearing her, Justin's heart ached terribly, and he kept glancing at her every few moments. Distracted as he was, he failed to notice a sports car speeding toward them. With a loud crash, the two cars collided head-on. The immense force sent Emma crashing against the car door uncontrollably. It felt like all her internal organs had shifted, and searing pain tore through every part of her body. Blood gushed out, staining her world a vivid red. Her body shivered uncontrollably from the cold, forcing her eyes open. She barely saw Justin getting out of the car with Vanessa in his arms. In the distance, the wailing sound of an ambulance grew closer. Amid the chaos, she faintly heard two urgent voices. "Sir, ma'am, this lady is only unconscious from shock, but the one in the back seat is suffering from massive blood loss. If she isn't rushed to the hospital in time, her life could be at risk." Chapter 7. No, we must send Vane to the hospital first. I absolutely cannot let anything happen to her. Nothing else matters more than her safety. Justin Lee's frantic, helpless roar was the last thing Emma heard before she lost consciousness. The endless darkness surged forward, swallowing her whole. Emma felt like she was trapped in a long, endless nightmare. When she finally woke up, she opened her eyes to see Julia's tearful face. "Emma, I just got back to China and heard you were hospitalized. The doctor said you had massive blood loss and nearly died." I was scared to death. Seeing her, all the grievances Emma had been suppressing flooded out. Her eyes reddened, and she could no longer hold back as she hugged Julia tightly. "Don't be afraid. I'm fine now." The two of them hugged for a long time before Julia finally poured her a glass of water and helped her drink. Thinking of the doctor's advice, Julia shifted the topic to something lighter. "Have you been doing well these past few years? Did my brother bully you? Weren't you dating someone? When will you introduce him to me? I need to inspect him thoroughly. If he treats you badly, I definitely won't approve. Emma's expression froze. President Lee has always been professional. He never bullied me. As for the boyfriend, we broke up. Julia hadn't expected the relationship to end so soon, fearing Emma would be sad. She quickly tried to comfort her. It's okay. As the saying goes, bye-bye to the wrong one, and the next will be even better. I know tons of handsome guys. I'll introduce them all to you. Before she could finish, the hospital room door swung open, and Justin entered. Face dark. Introduce what? No introductions. All those playboys you know are completely unsuitable. Hearing him flatly reject her suggestion, Julia immediately pouted. What playboys? Come on, brother. Don't exaggerate. They've only had 2 or 3 girlfriends. Not everyone is like you, so deeply devoted. Hanging yourself on Vanessa's tree. Besides, why do you even care if I want to introduce someone to my best friend? Hearing that, a surge of anger rose in Justin's chest, and his tone turned sharp. I said no introductions, and I mean it. Feelings can't be forced. Stop meddling. Yes, feelings could not be forced. Unfortunately, it had taken Emma 4 years to truly understand that. She smiled silently, squeezed Julia's hand, and looked at Justin calmly. Julie was just joking. President Lee, is there something you need? Seeing her safe and sound, Justin finally let out a breath of relief. He instinctively wanted to say he came to see her, but when the words reached his mouth, he changed them. Nothing much. Julie heard you were hurt and rushed to the hospital straight from the airport. I came to pick her up and check on you while I was at it. All right, brother. I'll go home tonight. You leave first. Emma's injuries are still serious. You're not allowed to assign her any work. Julia shooed him out after saying that. Once the room was quiet again, Julia continued praising Justin. Don't be fooled by how fierce my brother acts. He's actually very good to you. The nurse said when your life was hanging by a thread yesterday, it was my brother who mobilized the entire city to find the right blood type and save you. Chapter 8. Hearing that, Emma froze for a moment, but a second later, she regained her clarity. He had mobilized the city to get blood, not because he loved her, but simply because he didn't want her to die. If there ever had to be a choice between her and Vanessa, the one to die would undoubtedly be her. Thus, she harbored no more illusions about him. In her final days in Jing City, Emma stayed in the hospital to recover. When the nurses came to check the rooms, they often gossiped about the VIP ward upstairs. I heard President Lee of the Lee Group booked the entire floor and even brought back several retired professors from Jing City just to care for his girlfriend. I saw it myself several times, President Lee personally serving tea, bringing water, buying tons of jewelry and gifts to cheer her up, staying by her bedside without sleeping. He's absolutely spoiling her. Emma listened to these gossips quietly, reaching up to touch her own chest. There was no feeling there anymore, only a slow, heavy heartbeat. It seemed even her heart was almost healed. On the day she was discharged, Julia Lee was supposed to pick her up but was delayed by family matters. Emma reassured her with a few words and left the hospital on her own. Returning to the company, today was her last day at work. Following procedure, she completed her resignation process. Holding her box of belongings, she headed to the elevator, and there, she ran into Vanessa. Vanessa, holding a cup of coffee, deliberately bumped into Emma. Are you blind? You've dirted my dress. Again and again, is it on purpose? She staged the whole act herself, then called for security to force Emma to kneel at the entrance and apologize. Emma refused to submit. In response, Vanessa poured the remaining half cup of coffee onto her face. What are you looking at? Not convinced? Let me tell you, Justin only has me in his heart. No matter what I do, he'll always side with me. Dealing with a little secretary like you is nothing. After flaunting her arrogance, Vanessa left with a triumphant smirk. The security guards dragged Emma downstairs and forced her to her knees. She struggled fiercely but couldn't break free. She tried reasoning with them. I've already resigned. I'm no longer President Lee's secretary. You have no right to make me kneel. The guards remained unmoved, their voices cold and detached. Presidently ordered US, whatever Miss Sue says represents his will. No matter what she demands. We must comply. Secretary Bai. You can save your words for presidently. Their simple words completely cut off Emma's escape. She knew no matter what she said, it would be useless, and gave up struggling. Passing colleagues and strangers glanced at her with whispers and even took pictures. In the bitter winter cold, she knelt outside for 7 hours straight. Her knees scraped raw. Her face turned purple from the cold. Her body trembled uncontrollably. She survived purely by willpower. Just before the end of the workday, Emma's consciousness began to blur. Suddenly, she heard someone calling her name, summoning her last ounce of strength. She lifted her head and saw Julia rushing toward her. Emma, you just got out of the hospital. Why are you kneeling here? Who's torturing you like this? Emma's throat was dry and cracked. Instinctively, she answered, It's Vanessa. Chapter 9. Hearing that name, Julia's anger surged. She helped Emma up and stormed straight to Justin's office. Vanessa, you've gone too far. Emma never offended you. What right do you have to force her to kneel? She's my brother's secretary and has nothing to do with you. Who are you to act like the CEO's wife here? Justin was inside as well. Seeing Emma's wretched state, he frowned and was just about to ask what had happened when Vanessa threw herself into his arms. Justin. I didn't. I have no grudge against Secretary Bai. Why would I suddenly make her kneel? I don't even know what I did wrong for her to falsely accuse me like this. Hearing Vanessa still twisting the truth infuriated Julia. She charged forward and slapped Vanessa hard across the face. You're lying. Emma never tells lies. It was the first time in Vanessa's life that she had suffered such humiliation. She covered her face and started crying loudly. Justin, your secretary falsely accuses me, and now even your sister is ganging up on me. Fine. You're all a family. I'm leaving. We're breaking up. Hearing those words, panic flashed across Justin's face. Then his expression turned cold as he got up and slapped Julia across the face. Enough. Julia. How long are you going to cause trouble? Vane is your future sister-in-law. After that, he turned his icy gaze toward Emma. Why are you slandering Vane without reason? If it happens again, you'll lose your job as a secretary. Julia clutched her face, staring at her brother in shock. Emma, however, deeply regretted dragging Julia into this. She quickly pulled her away from the office. Julia was still fuming and wanted to go back and argue more. But Emma had no choice. She tearfully told Julia that she had already resigned and planned to leave Jing City. Emma shook her head and choked out the words. Hearing that Emma was leaving, Julia was filled with sorrow and reluctance. She forgot about causing trouble and clung to Emma, crying nonstop, begging her not to go. Emma, eyes reddened, gently patted her back. Julie, all good things must come to an end. Julia immediately sobbed even harder. On her last day in Jing City, the two of them went out for a farewell meal, reminiscing endlessly. That night, Julia didn't return home. Instead, she squeezed into Emma's tiny rented apartment to stay with her. Emma repeatedly promised her, even after returning home, she would keep in touch every day. If she found someone she liked through matchmaking, Julia would be the first to know. The two of them talked the whole night about the past, the present, and the future. At dawn, Julia personally took Emma to the airport. As they were saying their tearful goodbyes, Justin's message came in, asking Julia where she was. Still angry about the previous night, Julia was about to call him to curse him out. But Emma quickly stopped her. Forget it, Julie. Let everything stay in the past. From now on, don't fight with Vanessa for my sake. After all, your brother really loves her. One day, she'll become your sister-in-law. You need to get along with her. Hearing that, Julia's eyes turned red again. Soon, it was time for boarding. Emma waved goodbye to Julia and turned around, walking toward the gate. Before boarding, she sent Justin one final message. 8 years of secret love. For years of absurdity, everything ends here. President Lee, from this moment on, I am no longer your secretary, nor do I like you anymore. We'll each go our separate ways, for the rest of our lives. Let's never meet again. After sending it, she didn't wait for a reply. She blocked all of his contacts without hesitation. Then, without looking back, she boarded the plane. Chapter 10. When the message was sent, Justin was drying his hair. Hearing his phone buzz, he reached for it, but Vanessa got there first. "I'll check it for you," she said sweetly, shaking the phone playfully. Justin couldn't say no to her and smiled. Okay. His phone had already been set up with Vanessa's fingerprint recognition. The woman skillfully opened Emma's chat window and saw the message. A flash of disdain crossed her eyes. With a flick of her finger, she deleted it. The moment she returned, Vanessa had already learned about the situation between Justin and Emma Bai. In her eyes, it was nothing but Emma's one-sided wishful thinking. Everyone knew Justin was a hopeless romantic, loving her down to his very bones. How could he possibly like someone else? After deleting Emma's message, Vanessa spotted several work emails from business partners and deleted them too. At that moment, Justin finished drying his hair, still carrying the faint scent of body wash. He leaned in, embracing her from behind. "What was the message?" he asked. Vanessa turned around, hugged him back, and casually tossed the phone aside. "Just some spam texts. Don't worry about it. Let's continue, okay?" Smiling flirtatiously, she let her robe slip slightly, revealing smooth skin underneath. Justin's throat bobbed involuntarily. His eyes darkened with desire. He nodded and said okay, no longer caring about his phone. As he carried Vanessa straight to the bed, a night of passion followed. While Justin was still asleep the next morning, his phone suddenly rang. At first, he didn't want to answer. It was the weekend, and he shouldn't have any work scheduled. Looking at the woman still sleeping sweetly in his arms, he picked up the phone impatiently, his voice low but full of annoyance. "What is it? Today's supposed to be my day off." On the other end, his other secretary sounded flustered. "President Lee, yesterday we sent you an email. There's a meeting with a business partner scheduled for today. They're already here. Everyone's waiting for you." "What? When? I never received that email." All of Justin Lee's sleepiness vanished instantly. He sat up abruptly, quickly getting dressed, his brow furrowed tightly. Why didn't Emma notify me about such an important meeting? What is she doing? If the company suffers losses, can she take responsibility for it? "Tell Emma to come here immediately to pick me up." His voice brimmed with anger. He thought Emma was still upset and neglecting her duties out of spite. Unexpectedly, the assistant hesitated for a moment before carefully responding. "President Lee, Secretary Bai has already resigned." That sentence struck Justin like a bolt of lightning. His grip on the phone tightened. "When? Did I approve her resignation? Tell her to come back immediately. Until I give permission, she's not allowed to leave." In that moment, he completely forgot about Vanessa still lying in bed, roaring furiously into the phone. How dare Emma resign? Just over those trivial matters? He had clearly said before, Vanessa was the most important person in his life. Whatever grievances Emma had suffered, he would find a way to make it up to her. Yet she still chose to leave, without saying a single word. Justin's eyes darkened with fury, making the secretary on the other end shiver in fear, not daring to speak further. Just as he was about to lose all patience, a slender arm wrapped around his waist. "What's wrong, Justin?" Vanessa's soft, sleepy voice came from behind him. Seeing her like this, Justin instinctively softened his tone. "It's just work stuff. You don't need to worry. Go back to sleep." He intended to rush to the office immediately, no matter what. The business partner couldn't be offended, but Vanessa clung to him, whining like a spoiled child. "Stay with me a little longer, Justin. It's still early. Don't leave me, okay?" Her soft words and the memory of last night's passion stirred him. Justin couldn't resist. He pulled Vanessa into his arms again and laid back down. By the time he soothed her back to sleep, half an hour had passed. Meanwhile, his phone was bombarded with missed calls from his secretary. His gaze darkened as he finally replied, "Reschedule today's meeting for the afternoon." The secretary's reply came quickly. "President Lee, the clients have already left. The deal has fallen through." His heart clenched tightly, but looking at Vanessa's serene sleeping face, he felt that everything was still worth it. He forced a smile, but deep down, something didn't feel right. Justin opened his email inbox, no new messages. He suddenly remembered Vanessa had handled his phone last night, with a sense of dread. He opened the trash folder, and his face turned deathly pale as he clenched his teeth. Chapter 11. In the trash folder, there they were, several emails from business partners, sent exactly during the time he hadn't checked his phone last night. And the only person who had touched his phone last night was Vanessa. Anger brewed inside him. Vanessa, knowing nothing about business, had taken it upon herself to delete his work emails. Losing this contract would cost his company at least 10% of its profits. And for such an important meeting today, Emma hadn't notified him. Normally, even if she had already sent the email, Emma would have prepared everything that morning. Had she not been throwing a tantrum, there's no way they would have lost the business so easily. He dialed Emma's number, wanting to question her, but no one answered. No matter how many times he called, the only response was the same cold automated message. Panic gripped him suddenly. He thought of something and reopened the trash folder. There, glaring at him, was the message Emma had sent him last night. He clicked restore, and the message popped up, piercing his eyes like a blade. 8 years of secret love. For years of absurdity, everything ends here. President Lee, from now on, I am no longer your secretary, nor do I love you anymore. We shall part ways into the sea of people, never needing to meet again in this life. For some reason, upon seeing that message, he didn't feel the relief he had expected. Emma finally didn't like him anymore. Just like he had once said, she would no longer hang herself on his tree. But now that she had truly left, a suffocating tightness gripped his chest, as though something precious had been torn away. He couldn't help but recall the past between them. 4 years ago, one accident had led them to the same bed. At that time, his heart was full of Vanessa. He only wanted to send his sister's best friend away with some money, never intending to start anything. But Emma's bright and cautious eyes, like those of a small animal, made him unable to harden his heart to reject her. He had silently allowed everything to happen. They had been reckless everywhere, leaving traces of each other in countless places. Over the past 4 years, she had been his best secretary and also his best bed partner. Never once did she demand anything. She endured silently, content just to stay by his side without a title. Justin had thought countless times how foolish Emma was. Just a little bit of kindness, and she gave her all. He had warned her never to dream about a future with him. He would only ever belong to Vanessa. Now that he had finally shaken off that little tail, why wasn't he feeling happy? He stared at the message for a long time, but eventually, he pushed it all aside. Emma was gone, so be it. That was the path they were destined to take. He put down his phone and stopped thinking about it, pulling Vanessa into his arms to continue sleeping. In order to suppress that lingering uneasiness, he even postponed work for several more days, spending the time with Vanessa. Whatever jewelry or couture dresses she fancied, he bought them without hesitation. But the more he indulged her, the more restless and irritable he became. A deep frustration lingered between his brows. Vanessa noticed none of it, fully immersed in enjoying their travels. While waiting for her, Justin couldn't help but pull out his phone, opening his chat with Emma. The last conversation dated back a month ago. Ever since Vanessa returned, he hadn't contacted her again. A wave of impulse surged within him. Slowly, he typed and sent a message. You can come back and continue being my secretary anytime. But what he thought was a graceful invitation was blocked by a glaring red exclamation mark. The message failed to deliver. For the first time in years, Emma had blacklisted him. Justin's hand trembled slightly as he stared at the screen, his heart tightening painfully. Until Vanessa returned. Justin, sorry to keep you waiting. Tomorrow, can we go see the aurora together? The woman twirled in her new dress, clinging sweetly to his arm. Justin extinguished the screen without any emotion, forcing a smile. I should return to the company tomorrow. There's a lot of work piled up. Once I've dealt with it, I'll take you wherever you want. As the CEO, he had major decisions and meetings awaiting him. Taking this time off had already strained the company. Its profits were slipping. Vanessa's smile faltered slightly, clearly unhappy, but she still pouted cutely. Okay, but I want to go with you. I'll help you. Justin. Vanessa's sweet, obedient smile softened his heart a little, pushing away the troubling thoughts about Emma, for now. Chapter 12. When Justin arrived at the company, Several secretaries immediately surrounded him. President Lee, you're finally here. This is the company's profit and loss situation during your absence. These are the business partners who want to cancel their cooperation. The situation is very urgent. And here's the company's personnel flow report. Several senior employees are discussing resignation. Justin's brows furrowed deeply. He had only been away from the company for a short time. How had things gotten so bad? He took the documents and, after skimming through them, threw them heavily onto the floor. What the hell have you all been doing? I leave for just a few days. And the losses are this huge. Couldn't you at least retain the partners until I returned? With a loud bang, the folders scattered across the floor. All the secretaries stood frozen in fear. After a long silence, one finally spoke timidly. These things were usually handled by Secretary Bai. President Lee. Then he instinctively tried to call her name, only to remember that Emma had already resigned. His face darkened a few shades further as he responded coldly. If Emma could do it, why can't you? No one dared to speak again. Everyone knew Emma had been meticulous and diligent for the past 4 years. None of them could match her standards. In the oppressive silence, Vanessa's playful laughter suddenly broke out. Don't be angry, Justin. It's just a secretary who left. I'll take over her work. I'll definitely do even better than Emma. You should rest for a while. Let me handle things. Justin gave her a gratified smile. Thanks, Vane. From now on, everyone, listen to Vane. After saying that, Justin took the urgent documents back to his office, leaving Vanessa and the other secretaries behind. As soon as he left, Vanessa's expression changed completely. She glanced at the secretaries and, without warning, slapped one of them across the face, sneering coldly. I can see what you're up to, standing so close to President Lee. Were you trying to seduce him? The secretaries, terrified, clutched their faces and quickly tried to explain. Of course not. We were just doing our jobs. Please don't accuse us without reason. Vanessa didn't want to hear it. She called the security guards and had the secretaries dragged away, banning them from the company. Afterward, she specially changed into a professional outfit, black stockings clinging tightly to her thighs, a short, body-hugging skirt that barely covered anything. One slight bend and everything would be exposed. She knocked on the office door and, after receiving Justin's permission, sauntered in with swaying hips. President Lee, she said, her voice dripping with seduction, her eyes sultry. But now, with so many urgent matters piling up, Justin had no patience for distractions. He barely glanced at her, frowning slightly. Vane, what are you wearing? We're too busy right now. Can we focus on work first? Ignoring his rejection, Vanessa perched herself on his lap, revealing everything in full view. It's okay to work later, Justin, she purred. She draped herself over him like soft boneless silk. Justin's Adam's apple bobbed involuntarily. Unable to resist the temptation, he lifted Vanessa onto the desk, and his burning kisses fell uncontrollably. They didn't stop until noon. Vanessa's stockings were torn to shreds, her neck covered in scattered red marks. Justin's shirt was a mess. He glanced at his watch, surprised that no one had brought him lunch yet. If it had been Emma, she never would have forgotten such a detail. Irritated, he called the secretary. What's going on? Even lunch deliveries are being forgotten? Do you all want to lose your jobs? President Lee, the secretary said helplessly. We were all driven out by Miss Sue. We've thought it over. It's time for us to leave too. None of us have by secretary's tolerance to endure so much. Justin, not fully understanding, instinctively asked, what about Emma? On the other end, the secretary sighed and sent him a file. It's all in there, President Lee. And then the call ended. A growing sense of unease gripped Justin. He opened the file with a trembling hand and found it full of evidence. Everything Vanessa had accused Emma of, from the moment she returned until today, had been entirely fabricated. The more he read, the more his heart pounded. Those suppressed feelings could no longer be contained. He hadn't imagined that Vanessa would stoop so low. And Emma, she had silently endured so much injustice during this time. His heart felt like it had stopped. Justin sat there, staring at the words for a long time. Meanwhile, Vanessa lounged lazily in the chair. Seeing Justin frozen, she pouted sweetly. Justin, What's wrong? Didn't you say someone would bring lunch? I'm hungry. Slowly, Justin turned his head toward her, but his eyes were no longer filled with affection. Chapter 13. Justin, seemingly unable to believe what she was seeing, Vanessa called out again, but Justin's expression remained cold, making her suddenly panic. The man spoke in a chilling voice. Why did you do it? She didn't understand. What are you talking about, Justin? But the next second, Justin exploded, shouting like a madman. I ask you why. Why did you slander Emma? Although startled by his tone, hearing that secretary's name made Vanessa even more confused. She's just a secretary, isn't she? What's the big deal? Justin, why are you so angry? Weren't you the one who said she was just a secretary? She said it so righteously that Justin suddenly felt drained. Yes, he was the one who pushed Emma away in the first place. So why was he so furious now? Vanessa approached, wanting to hug him. Don't be angry, Justin. Let's go have lunch, okay? But hearing her sweet voice only fueled the irritation boiling inside Justin. His mind was flooded with images of Emma, her enduring all the humiliation, her heart aching while he chose again and again not to believe her. Back then, how painful must it have been for her? The more he thought about it, the harder it was to breathe. He had no patience left for pretense. He pushed Vanessa away. If you want to eat, go by yourself. I'm not in the mood. He didn't push her hard, but she stumbled back a few steps, her face full of disbelief. The man who had been endlessly doting on her these past few days had just pushed her, for Emma, a secretary who had already resigned. Vanessa's emotions erupted. Justin, what are you doing? You're choosing Emma over me? That secretary? Are you planning to break up with me and chase after her? Vanessa's words made Justin feel even worse. He didn't even know what he was doing anymore. Why did he feel so uncomfortable? Why did it hurt so much? Wasn't he supposed to be happy when Emma left? But now, he could only clench his fists, desperately trying to control his emotions. I'm just too tired. Go have lunch by yourself. Vanessa scoffed coldly and turned away without another word. Left alone in the wreckage of his office, Justin felt an unbearable headache. He didn't bother asking anyone to bring him lunch. He threw himself into work, hoping to drown out his thoughts. From the afternoon until late at night, he buried himself in paperwork, finally dealing with the mess that had accumulated during this time. Ironically, most of the problems were caused by Vanessa. In trying to clean up after her, almost all of the company's profits for the year had been wiped out. Justin leaned back in his chair, taking a deep breath. The sky outside was already dark. He glanced at his phone, no new messages. A hollow, indescribable exhaustion and loneliness washed over him. Now, he was the only one left in the entire company. He couldn't help but softly call out, Emma. It was the first time he had spoken her name since she left. And once he did, it was like a curse he couldn't break. Memories of her flooded his mind uncontrollably. No matter how late it was, she would stay with him at work, arranging everything meticulously. They would entangle by the floor-to-ceiling windows in the office, her cheeks turning scarlet like evening clouds. Shy yet endearing, her pure, doe-like eyes would shimmer with unshed tears whenever he was too rough. But she didn't realize, it was exactly that look that provoked him even more. The memories swarmed his mind. Justin couldn't control himself anymore. He grabbed his phone and dialed his sister's number. Every second felt like a lifetime before the call finally connected. He spoke eagerly. Julie, do you know where Emma Bai went? On the other end, Julia laughed mockingly. Brother, you're all lovey-dovey with Vanessa now. Why are you still looking for Emma? His Adam's apple bobbed painfully. He gripped the phone tighter. I know everything now. Everything that happened before. Vane orchestrated it all. I want to apologize to Emma. If she comes back, I promise I won't let Vane mistreat her again. Before he could finish his self-righteous apology, Julia interrupted coldly. No need. Emma doesn't need your apology anymore. And you, don't even think about ever finding her again. With that, Julia hung up. The dial tone echoed in his ears. A storm of regret and helplessness surged in Justin's chest. In a fit of rage, he smashed his phone onto the ground. At that moment, He heard the office door being pushed open. He jerked upright, thinking for a moment that it was the person he had been longing for. Emma. He looked toward the door, his eyes full of desperate hope. Chapter 14. The person who entered was not the one he longed for, it was Vanessa. The woman had clearly heard the name he blurted out. She couldn't understand it. Emma was just a secretary. Why did she keep standing against her? She looked at the despondent Justin, unable to bear the stark contrast. Why is it Emma again? Justin, do you really like her? She demanded. Justin didn't answer. Once he realized it wasn't Emma who had entered, his thoughts were already elsewhere. But seeing his reaction only enraged Vanessa further. Tears welled up in her eyes, her voice rising hysterically. She's just a secretary. A worthless woman. From the first day I came back, I knew she had impure intentions toward you. Someone like her leaving is a good thing. Justin, didn't you say you loved only me? What do you mean now? Have you fallen in love with her? Faced with Vanessa's relentless accusations, Justin's heart was in utter chaos, but he remained silent. Vanessa, used to being pampered and spoiled, grew even more furious with the cold treatment. In a fit of rage, she smashed everything on the desk. I heard you just now. You were asking where Emma went. You still want to find her. You still want her to come back. You've fallen in love with her, pushed to the limit. Justin's gaze turned dark. The love he once had for Vanessa was completely gone. He could no longer understand why he had ever loved someone like her, so unreasonable, so selfish. She had even forced Emma to leave. Thinking of that, Justin could no longer restrain himself. His eyes reddened as he roared back. Yes, I have fallen in love with Emma. Do you even realize what you've done these past days? Once the first words came out, all the rage he had been suppressing broke free. He took a step closer with each word. You drove away all my secretaries. You deleted important work emails on my phone, causing several business partners to cut ties with us. In the company, the authority I gave you turned into a weapon you used to oppress the employees, forcing them to consider resigning en masse. Do you know how much financial loss you've caused my company during this time? I could have let all of that go. But why did you have to drive Emma away? It was your constant schemes and framing that finally pushed her to leave me. You're right. I love Emma. While you were gone all those years, it was Emma who stayed by my side. Vanessa, who are you to speak of her like that? His voice was filled with fury. His eyes were dark and terrifying. Vanessa trembled in fear, tears brimming, but she still stubbornly argued. She's just a secretary. She's nothing. Smack! Before she could finish, Justin slapped her across the face. The crisp sound rang through the room, and Vanessa stared at him in shock. He had actually hit her. Her tears, which had been on the verge of falling, instantly poured down. Vanessa flailed and tried to hit him back. You hit me. Justin, you actually hit me. You said you loved me, and now you're hitting me for a secretary. But her struggles were useless. Now that Justin had recognized his true feelings, he looked at her with nothing but disgust. Grabbing her hands, he mercilessly slapped her again. Smack! This time, the blow knocked Vanessa's head to the side, her face swelling up almost immediately, yet Justin's anger showed no signs of subsiding. His voice was icy cold. The grievances Emma suffered were far worse than this. What's one slap? I want you to apologize to Emma. Chapter 15. The man's eyes were cold and indifferent. If he had once felt a shred of softness toward her, now even that last bit of hesitation was gone. Now, he only felt disgust. Disgust at himself for having done so much for her, while continually hurting Emma. Justin clenched his fingers tightly, his expression chilling enough to make Vanessa tremble. She had never seen this side of him before. He had always been good to her, granting her every wish, and now, it was all because of Emma. Venomous hatred flashed in Vanessa's eyes. She wished she could tear Emma into pieces. Justin noticed it clearly. He only hated himself for not seeing Vanessa's true nature earlier, and for letting Emma suffer so much undeserved pain. He let out a cold, bone-chilling laugh. Now it's time to return everything to Emma. As he spoke, he grabbed Vanessa and began dragging her out. Seeing the man's furious expression, Vanessa was so terrified she forgot all about her dignity. Struggling frantically, But she couldn't break free. She was dragged to the office entrance where several bodyguards were already waiting. "If you like making others kneel so much," Justin said icily, "then you can kneel until tomorrow." He ordered the bodyguards to keep watch and ignored Vanessa's crying behind him as he turned and walked away. Right now, Emma was the only one on his mind. Once he admitted that he loved her, he realized how terribly wrong he had been all along. In those 4 years they spent together day and night, he had already become dependent on her, but he refused to admit it until he lost her completely. Inside the car, he pounded the steering wheel violently. Then, like a madman, he began tearing out all the decorations Vanessa had left in the car. Everything Emma disliked, he had to get rid of it. Stuffed toys, seat cushions, even the snacks he had once bought for Vanessa. He threw them all out without hesitation. But no matter how much he cleaned, the car no longer had any trace of Emma. They had once been reckless in this very car so many times. Yet now, there wasn't a single memory of her left. At that moment, Justin finally understood what it meant to have his heart torn to pieces. Unable to bear it, he smashed his own car beyond recognition, releasing all the fury he had bottled up, then drove another car back to the villa. But even there, it was the same. Everything had been changed to suit Vanessa's taste. She had only been back for a month, yet she had erased 4 years of Emma's presence. Justin's eyes reddened. Standing inside the villa, he found it hard to breathe. The glaring pink decorations felt like knives slashing into his heart. He desperately searched for anything Emma had left behind. Even a simple hair tie would have sufficed. But there was nothing. His helplessness reached its peak. All he could do was smash everything inside to pieces in a desperate frenzy. He didn't dare to rest. Whenever he closed his eyes, Emma's figure would appear vividly in his mind. That day, he had clearly seen her packing up her things, and he had done nothing to stop her. He had just watched as she took everything away, leaving nothing behind. Ah! He let out a heart-wrenching scream, wishing he could go back to the past, to ask himself why, even though he had felt reluctant in his heart. He had done absolutely nothing. Justin sat in the villa all night, trying to soak in the last remnants of Emma's warmth. When daylight finally came, his assistant arrived. "President Lee, it's time to go to the company. Miss Sue is still waiting for you," the assistant reminded him carefully. Justin lifted his bloodshot eyes, now filled only with hatred. If it weren't for Vanessa, how could Emma have left him? It was all Vanessa's fault. "Drive to the company," he rasped out, his voice so hoarse it was barely recognizable. Chapter 16. When he arrived at the company, it was exactly the start of work hours. Employees came and went, casting glances full of complex emotions toward a certain corner of the office. There knelt Vanessa, disheveled and filthy. She hadn't slept all night, forcibly kept kneeling by the bodyguards. She was close to fainting from exhaustion. But what truly crushed her was the shameful gaze of passers-by. She had once been so high and mighty, yet now, she was utterly humiliated in public. Vanessa hated Emma to her bones. She screamed in collapse, "Emma, you filthy slut! It's all your fault! If it weren't for you, Justin wouldn't treat me like this. Why don't you just die? How dare you seduce Justin? You're nothing but trash!" She shrieked endlessly, and everyone heard her vulgar insults. But things were different now. Having fallen from favor, her actions only earned the public's contempt. Several colleagues who had been close to Emma spoke out indignantly. "How can you say that about Secretary Bai? She worked diligently here for 4 years and never made a single mistake. You were the one who bullied her when you arrived." "That's right. Emma never did anything wrong. Miss Sue, you were the one who went too far. Even after Emma left, you're still harassing her. Clearly you were the one who kept targeting Secretary Bai. Now you're blaming others? If you ask me, you're the real disgrace." Murmurs and disdainful stares gathered around Vanessa. People treated her like a madwoman. Vanessa was about to lose her mind. She wanted to slap everyone, but restrained by the bodyguards. She could only kneel there and scream, "You're all traitors! Emma must have bribed you. She must have sold herself to you all." Her words grew more insane, making others frown in disgust. At that moment, Justin arrived at the office, and just in time to hear Vanessa's hysterical tirade. His face grew even colder. Originally, He had intended to make Vanessa kneel here and reflect, but she hadn't repented at all. Instead, she kept blaming Emma for everything. Furious, Justin strode forward. Employees parted naturally, creating a path for him. Even the bodyguards let go of Vanessa, gaining her freedom. Vanessa immediately crawled to Justin's feet, clutching his leg with tearful rage. "Justin, help me! Look at these people! They're all Emma's lackeys! I'm being bullied! Fire them all! Justin, fire them!" As she cried, she viciously pointed at those who had just defended Emma. Her, and him! They're all filth! The employees lowered their heads, fearful, but Justin didn't react the way Vanessa expected. Instead, he kicked her away in disgust. "I told you to reflect. Is this what you've learned? Vanessa, you are nothing now, and yet you still dare to slander others? I never realized how vicious you truly are. I heard everything they said, and they're right. Emma didn't do anything wrong. It was you drove her away." Vanessa fell to the floor, tears filling her eyes. "You're supposed to love me. Justin, you love me." Justin looked down at her coldly from above. "I love Emma Bai." His words shocked everyone around them. Some gasped. Others stared wide-eyed. But Justin felt nothing but relief. This sentence had been delayed for 4 years. Finally, he said it out loud. He curled his lips into a slight smile, ignoring Vanessa's collapsing expression, and repeated, "I love Emma. As for you, any feelings I had are long gone. This whole relationship was a mistake. I will find Emma and be with her. Vanessa, you should leave." Vanessa's pupils dilated, disbelief flooding her face. Receiving the final answer, she laughed and cried all at once. "You're telling me to leave? Justin, let me tell you, Emma wasn't driven away by me. It was you. You think I don't know what you did? You slept with her for 4 years and never gave her a title. When I came back, you immediately ran back to me. The one who truly forced her away was you." Her words shocked everyone. Justin and Emma's relationship had never been exposed in the company. Upon hearing this, the whole office fell into stunned silence. Justin's expression, which had just softened slightly, darkened again. Chapter 17. Abandoned and furious. Vanessa no longer cared about anything. She decided to go all in, spilling everything she knew while laughing mockingly. "Do you know what I found in your car? Emma's stockings. You two must have done it in the car plenty of times, right? Emma is just a fool, willing to be your secret lover for 4 whole years. Justin, you're the one who didn't trust her words. You saw her being humiliated and still chose me. You think I drove Emma away? It was you." With every word she spat, Justin's expression grew darker, his fists clenching tighter. "Seems you still don't realize your mistakes." With that, he signaled the bodyguards to pin Vanessa down again and dragged her away, leaving only her piercing screams behind. Returning to the villa, Justin ordered the bodyguards to lock her in the basement, forcing her to endure everything she had once made Emma suffer. She was made to carry scalding bowls, burning her hands into blistered, red messes, or made to kneel, kneeling all day long, even fainting and then waking up just to continue kneeling. During this time, Justin never once visited her. He had far more important things to do. After fully realizing his feelings, he vowed he would win Emma back. He went to Julia's house in the city and knocked on the door. His sister quickly came to open it, but upon seeing it was him, her smile instantly froze and turned into a look of disdain. "What are you doing here?" Justin knew he was at fault. He carried his arms full of gifts, forcing a smile at Julia. "I've been meaning to visit since you came back. These are for you, Julie." Julia didn't want to accept them, but Emma had said it herself, no matter what. They were still siblings, bound by blood. She let him in coldly, tearing through his act immediately. "You're here to ask about Emma, aren't you? I told you. I won't tell you anything. Give it up." Justin stepped into the house, set down the gifts, and spoke softly. "Julie, I know I was wrong. I want to make amends. Please tell me where Emma went. I won't let Vanessa hurt her again. I'll stay with her properly. You're her best friend, right? If I'm with Emma, you'll get to see her every day too." Julia quickly cut him off. Even without you, Emma and I are still best friends. As long as she's happy, I don't care where she is. Brother, you hurt her so many times, and now you want to win her back. You're the one who told me Vanessa was going to be my sister-in-law. Remember? Justin's throat tightened, he couldn't speak. Julia, straightforward by nature, got angrier the more she thought about Emma's past suffering. Seeing him silent, she spoke even more sharply. For Vanessa, you not only hit me, you betrayed Emma too, and now you say you regret it? Isn't it too late? I'll tell you this, Emma is doing just fine abroad. Hearing that, Justin's body swayed slightly. He took a deep breath and lowered his head to his sister. Julie, I know I was wrong. I've already punished Vanessa. You can come see for yourself if you don't believe me. Please, tell Emma I realize my mistakes. Emma loved me for 8 years, 8 whole years. She'll forgive me. Please, help me just this once. I'm begging you. The more he spoke, the faster his words came, like something was chasing him. Even his eyes reddened. But to Julia, all of it seemed laughable. It was the first time she found her once proud brother so pathetic. You knew she loved you for 8 years. Then how did you treat her? You treated her like a bed toy, a tool, a pet you summoned at will. You drained all her love away. And now she's gone, you suddenly realize you were wrong? Brother, she's a person too. She can feel pain too. Justin listened to his sister's words, guilt surging uncontrollably, his voice hoarse, his eyes red. He knelt before her. Julie, at least let me see Emma once, just once. If she really refuses to forgive me, I'll never bother her again. Since childhood, Justin had never begged anyone for anything. This was the first time, kneeling before his own sister, all for the sake of a woman who had already left him. Julia hadn't expected her proud brother to bow so low, but no matter how pitiful he was, she couldn't betray Emma for him. Biting her lip, she spoke with difficulty. I'll ask her. If Emma agrees to see you, I'll tell you where she is. Hearing this, the light returned to Justin's desolate eyes. He nodded eagerly. Chapter 18. Julia sent a message to Emma. But there was a several-hour time difference between their countries. Julia advised him to go home first and promised to inform him once there was news. But Justin refused to leave no matter what. He stubbornly stayed at his sister's house, sleeping on the couch, waking up at every little sound, hoping it was news from Emma. It wasn't until the following night that Julia finally received a reply. All right, I'll meet with him. Just a few simple words. Yet to Justin, it was hope. Emma Bai was still willing to see him. That meant there was still a chance between them. Overflowing with excitement, Justin immediately rushed to book the earliest flight. Julia grabbed his arm, frowning in disapproval. Brother, why don't you rest for a day before you go? You haven't rested properly in days. Emma already said she would meet you. She won't break her promise. Justin shook off her hand firmly. I can't wait any longer. Ever since Emma left, I've thought about her day and night. I just want to see her now. His brows and eyes were so gentle that Julia couldn't understand him anymore. Watching her brother's departing figure, she couldn't help but sigh softly. If only you had realized sooner, brother. But Justin didn't hear her. All his thoughts were filled with Emma. Just thinking about soon seeing her made his heart race with anticipation. Even on the plane, he couldn't rest. Was she doing well abroad? Had she lost weight? Was she short on money? In a foreign country, she must have been uncomfortable. Thinking about her made his heart ache. His mind filled entirely with images of Emma. At first, she had been a shy, youthful girl, hiding her crush on him, thinking it was invisible, but he had seen through it all. Yet back then, his heart was full of Vanessa, and he chose to ignore her, even after that reckless night caused by an accident. He never truly considered her feelings. He had rejected her, yet still kept her body close. They had tangled together in so many places. Emma was always sensible, never asking for money, nor demanding a title. Unlike other women, this pleased him. It fit exactly what he wanted, and it was the reason he silently allowed everything to continue. If Vanessa hadn't suddenly returned, he might have kept things as they were with Emma indefinitely. But when had he truly fallen in love with her? Was it when he noticed her hard work, felt her thoughtfulness, or sensed her deep, unwavering affection? Justin couldn't say for sure. The past 4 years had flown by too fast. Before he realized it, he had already been captured by her, but he realized it too late. And so she left. But now, it would be different. He had thought it through clearly. As long as Emma was willing to forgive him, he would do anything. He would never again let her be merely a secret lover. He would openly declare their relationship. He would marry her, love her for the rest of his life, and use his lifetime to make up for the pain he had caused her. Thinking about a future where Emma was by his side, Justin couldn't help but smile. Happiness spread through his chest, making him long even more for the moment he would see her. After 8 long hours, the plane finally landed. Justin rushed toward the address Julia had given him, impatient to meet the woman he loved. Chapter 19. They had agreed to meet at a cafe. When Justin pushed the door open, the bell above chimed softly. He stepped inside and instantly spotted Emma sitting in the corner. It had only been a month since they last saw each other. Yet it felt like a whole year of torment had passed. Now that he finally saw her again, Justin felt a moment of surreal daze. She had changed a lot. Back when she was by his side, because she was his secretary, she mostly wore formal office attire. Even when they were at home doing all sorts of things, Emma always carried an air of professionalism. But now, she wore casual clothes, her hair tied up, revealing a slender, fair neck, and somehow, it felt like he was seeing the old Emma again, the innocent girl who had once shyly and secretly loved him. He paused for a few seconds before walking over, smiling as he greeted her. "Emma, long time no see." He suppressed the urge to immediately pull her into his arms, his gaze greedily and lovingly tracing her delicate features. Let's keep it brief. I only agreed to meet to make things clear between us." Emma had no intention of reminiscing. She took a sip of coffee, about to continue when Justin hurriedly cut in. "I understand what you mean. It was all my fault. It was me who failed to realize my true feelings. Me who allowed Vanessa to hurt you. Emma, I've finally realized. I love you. You're the only one I truly love." He said it all in one breath, his eyes bright with anticipation, awaiting Emma's response. In his mind, Emma loved him so deeply. Surely she would forgive him and return home with him. But from start to finish, Emma's expression never changed. She only pulled up the corner of her mouth in a cold, indifferent smile. "Justin, it's too late. Both your apology and your so-called love. If you're done talking, then I'll leave. I see no point in continuing this conversation." Justin's face instantly changed. Instinctively, he grabbed her hand, panic flashing across his features. "It's not too late. Emma, we still have a future together. I've already punished Vanessa. As long as you come back, I can give you everything. It's been 4 years. Are you really saying you don't love me anymore just because of 1 month? I know you're still angry. You can hit me, yell at me, whatever you want. Emma, please, come back." Emma shook off his hand, her voice calm. "You're right. This 1 month was enough to make me see you clearly. I don't love you anymore, Justin, and I won't go back. I wish you and Vanessa a happy life." With that, she stood up, about to leave. Justin hadn't expected this reaction at all. In his mind, Emma's love for him was so deep it ran to her very bones. How could she suddenly not love him anymore? Panic, unprecedented and suffocating, rushed over him. When Emma had first left, he had comforted himself, believing she still loved him. But now that he saw her in person, he realized she truly didn't love him anymore. In that moment, Justin felt like his heart was being slashed apart. He tightly grabbed Emma's hand, unwilling to let go. The once proud man trembled, lowering himself completely, his voice tinged with desperate sobs. "Emma, don't do this to me. I really know I was wrong. If you forgive me, we can get married right away. I won't let you stay nameless anymore in the company. If you want to keep working as a secretary, you can. If you don't, you can stay at home and be a rich wife. I'll make money for you. Everything I have will be yours. No one will ever hurt you again. Emma, please, forgive me just this once. We've been together for so long. You can't just abandon me because I made one mistake. Emma, if it had been before. Hearing these words would have made Emma ecstatic. This was the man she had loved for 8 whole years. Finally, he was willing to love her back. But now, because of Vanessa, her heart was dead. Those 8 years of love had vanished. All that remained was bitter regret. Regret for having wasted so much time on Justin. Taking a deep breath, she pried his hand off firmly. Justin, I made it clear. We have no future. Isn't this what you wanted? Back then, I said, once the person you loved came back, I would leave on my own. When Vanessa returned, I still hoped you might have fallen for me. Hoped you might choose me instead. But reality proved I was wrong. Seeing her determined expression, Justin felt an overwhelming sense of loss, as if he was about to lose her forever. He shook his head repeatedly, and for the first time ever, he cried openly in front of someone, desperately reaching out to pull her back. Emma, I really know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. Emma. But Emma didn't look back. She walked away without hesitation, disappearing from his sight completely. Chapter 20. He sat there in the cafe until closing time before finally leaving. He didn't know what to do. His heart was filled with unbearable pain. The more it hurt, the more he realized just how important Emma was to him, and he had let her slip away. If only Vanessa hadn't come back. If only he had realized earlier that he loved Emma. If only he hadn't disappointed her. Countless what-ifs flashed through his mind, but there was no turning back. Wandering aimlessly through the foreign streets, a bolt of lightning split the sky, and torrential rain poured down. People around him ran for cover. But Justin didn't know where he should go. He walked through the rain, calling Emma's name over and over, his entire body soaked through. Suddenly, his phone rang. He picked it up hopefully. It was a message from Julia. Brother, come home. Looking at these words, he suddenly felt powerless. How had he and Emma ended up like this? He knelt in the pouring rain, crying and screaming with pain, his voice drowned by the sound of the storm. Staggering through the streets, he eventually found himself in front of an apartment building. The door was closed. He didn't dare knock. Instead, he curled up outside the door. This was Emma's residence. Only here did he feel a tiny bit of comfort in his heart. He hadn't slept in days. Now, soaked in the rain, he drifted into a deep, feverish sleep. In his dreams, Emma forgave him. They returned home together. They lived just like before. But this time, he didn't betray her. In the dream, he immediately announced their relationship publicly, even proposing to her. Emma, with tears in her eyes, threw herself into his arms, saying she had finally waited long enough. Justin smiled faintly in his dream, feeling as if he had finally grasped happiness. Then he passed out completely in the rain. When he opened his eyes again, his head throbbed painfully, his body heavy and barely able to move. Struggling to open his eyes, he saw a strange ceiling above him. He tried to get out of bed, but at that moment, a gentle voice sounded. Don't move. It was Emma. Upon hearing her voice, Justin forgot everything else. He surged up and pulled the person beside him tightly into his arms, clutching her desperately as if he had regained a lost treasure. Emma, you've forgiven me, haven't you? I know I was wrong. I'll spend my whole life making it up to you. Emma, please believe me. I really was wrong. I can't live without you. As he spoke, he sobbed uncontrollably, waves of regret overwhelming him, clutching her tightly, unwilling to let go. Justin, stop it. I only took you in because of Julie. If you had died at my door, Julie would have been heartbroken. Emma frowned, pulling away from his embrace. Only then did Justin truly look at her. In her eyes, there was no trace of emotion, only disgust. That expression pierced his heart cruelly. His face turned pale, his hands froze in midair. Unsure what to do, he just stared at Emma blankly, as if staring at the person he loved the most but could never reach again. Sorrow engulfed him completely, his voice hoarse. He called her name, Emma. Emma didn't respond. Her eyes were cold and indifferent. I've already called Julie. She'll come to pick you up. Justin, don't look for me again. I'm doing very well here, without you. Emma, the past is the past. From the moment you chose Vanessa, we were over. Emma, each time he called her name, his voice grew more anguished. He looked at her deeply, so close, yet feeling infinitely distant. So distant he could never reach her again. Is there really no chance for us? He looked at her with a final trace of desperate hope. Emma finally looked him straight in the eyes and answered clearly. Yes, there is no chance for us. It was as if 10,000 arrows pierced through him. Justin felt like his heart was being torn apart. He wanted to reach out and touch her face one last time, but even that small wish, Emma mercilessly avoided. Justin's eyes turned red, and tears fell freely. All right, he murmured, his heart hurting so badly he could hardly breathe. Chapter 21. It wasn't long before Julia arrived. As soon as she received Emma's call, she rushed over. The two of them hadn't seen each other for a month. When Julia arrived, she immediately threw herself into her best friend's arms. Emma! Emma's expression softened as she caught her. Julie, you're here. They sat down and chatted for a bit. When it came time to say goodbye, Julia couldn't help but feel guilty. I'm sorry, Emma. I shouldn't have softened and let my brother come find you, causing you so much trouble. Emma pinched her cheek lightly. It's all right. Even if you hadn't told him, Justin would have found a way himself. Better to rip off the bandage quickly. It's good to have cleared things up this time. Despite Emma's reassurance, Julia still felt uneasy. She hadn't expected her brother to go so crazy. Standing out in the rain like he didn't care about his life, Julia turned her head to glance at the man in the distance, who was trying to discreetly look over here. His gaze filled with longing and restraint. She couldn't help but ask the question she'd been dying to know the answer to. Emma, if, and I mean if Vanessa hadn't come back, would you have been with my brother? Justin wanted to know the answer too. If Vanessa hadn't returned, would Emma have chosen to be with him? Emma gave a faint smile. She had once wondered about that herself, but after living through that month, she was now clear, even without Vanessa, there would have been someone else eventually. Justin's so-called love for her was merely regret after losing her. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and smiled with genuine relief. No one asked her why. Perhaps because they all already knew the answer. Julia ended up taking the heartbroken Justin back to China. Lee Group had suffered major losses during this time. Justin had no heart left to manage the company, so he had to temporarily hand it over to Julia. Poor Julia. She had just returned from abroad and already had to clean up her brother's mess. Fortunately, she had studied business management while overseas, so she wasn't completely clueless. But before she officially took over the company, Julia kindly handed her brother a stack of photos. While you were abroad, I found out some things. You should take a look. Justin opened them and realized they were about Vanessa. Julia had discovered that during the years Vanessa was overseas, she hadn't focused on studying at all. Instead, she had gotten involved with multiple foreign men, even had several abortions. Long gone was the girl from his memories. For a moment, Justin was stunned. What had she been like back then? He found he couldn't even recall her former image clearly. 10 years of separation and reunion, whatever youthful, pure affection he once felt, had long since worn away. Now, whenever he closed his eyes, only Emma's face would appear, sometimes smiling, sometimes sorrowful, vividly tugging at his heartstrings. But when another 10 years pass, could he really forget Emma, as he had forgotten Vanessa? A twinge of hesitation and sorrow arose within him, but the blame for today's outcome lay solely with himself. He had clearly known what Vanessa had done, yet he clung to that faded affection, telling himself he loved her. For someone like her, he had cruelly pushed Emma away. Looking at the photos again, his heart stirred no emotion, as if it too had died. Thanks, Julie. I won't make you worry for too long. His voice was hoarse as he expressed his thanks. Then, as if remembering something, he smiled faintly at his sister. Almost forgot. I still owe you something. Saying this, he suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself hard across the face. A loud crack. His cheek instantly swelled up, shocking Julia. Brother, what are you doing? Justin swallowed the metallic taste in his throat. I hit you before. This is me paying you back. Julia's brows furrowed deeply. She didn't know what to say. Her hand lifted, then dropped helplessly. Finally, she sighed. Forget it. Just don't mess up again. Maybe someday. There will be another Emma. When that happens, don't miss your chance. Julia Lee smiled and waved her hand dismissively. Justin didn't say anything, only silently watching his sister walk away. He didn't want to ruin her good mood, because deep down, he knew very clearly there would never be another Emma. That aching sorrow surged up within him again, but he forced it back down. Justin picked up the photos in his hand and headed toward the basement. Chapter 22. During this period, Vanessa was tormented miserably. She couldn't eat or sleep properly. Everything she had once done to Emma was now returned to her 1,000-fold. She curled up trembling in the basement when the door opened and light spilled in. At first she didn't even realize what was happening. It wasn't until Justin walked in that she finally came to her senses, scrambling forward as if grabbing onto a lifeline, clutching his legs tightly. Justin, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I won't bother you and Emma again. I'll leave far, far away. I'll never appear in front of you again. Please let me go. I truly know I was wrong, she pleaded, sobbing uncontrollably, her appearance utterly wretched. Justin said nothing, just quietly and meticulously scrutinized that face, once full of youth and beauty, now left only with endless greed and lust. He wondered, how could he ever have lost the most important person in his life because of her? Thinking of this, an intense anger rose in him, making him want to rip Vanessa to shreds. But Julia and Emma were right. At the root of it all, he had only himself to blame. Vanessa had merely borrowed his power. He forced himself to calm down, then threw a pile of photos onto the ground. Vanessa glanced at them, and her pupils shrank sharply in shock. Those photos contained the past she most wanted to bury. She had returned to China precisely because she couldn't survive abroad. Yet she hadn't expected that everything would still be dug up. Frantically, her face full of panic, she shook her head and muttered incoherently, No, 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 that's not me. Justin, believe me. It's all fake, photoshopped. Someone must be trying to frame me. It's Emma, isn't it? She doesn't want you to forgive me. So she created all this to make you angry. She clutched her head, rambling like a madwoman. I didn't live like that abroad. I went to a top university. I had a great job and a boyfriend who loved me. None of this happened. This isn't supposed to be my life. As she spoke, she broke down in miserable sobs. At first, when she went abroad, her life was indeed smooth and indulgent. Because of her beauty, she had several wealthy admirers willing to spend money on her, even covering up her mistakes. But over time, people began to leave her one by one. She couldn't get her degree, had to buy a diploma from a third-rate school, and struggled to find a job. In desperation, she resorted to selling herself for affection. But soon enough, her reputation spread. Unable to survive abroad any longer, she was forced to return to China. At first, she was relieved. There was still Justin waiting foolishly for her. But now, she realized, her life had never changed. Everything had a price. She knelt on the floor, crying and kowtowing, begging and apologizing. But Justin remained expressionless throughout, merely looking at her coldly. Only when Vanessa collapsed in exhaustion did Justin finally open his mouth. You can leave. The unexpected words stunned her. She stared at him in disbelief. What? Justin, what did you say? Justin repeated indifferently, his voice devoid of emotion. Leave, Vanessa. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. I did once love you, but too much time has passed. Now, my heart belongs to someone else. Hearing this, Vanessa didn't know whether to laugh or cry, or even where she could go. Justin left without another glance. The door was left open. No guards came to force or punish her. Yet somehow, The unknown future beyond that door seemed even more terrifying than the hell she had endured. It took a long time before Vanessa finally managed to stand. Staggering as she left the Lee family. No one knew where she went, nor did anyone care about her fate. After resting properly, Justin resumed control of the company. Julia finally breathed a sigh of relief. Managing the family business had never been her dream. She had her own life and ambitions to pursue. Chapter 23. 1 year later, Julia received a text message from Emma. Her best friend was getting married and invited her to be a bridesmaid. Julia was overjoyed and immediately dropped everything to book a ticket and prepare to fly over. Naturally, Justin also learned of the news from his sister. His hand paused for a moment. Then he lowered his eyes, pretending to ask casually, "She's getting married so soon?" Over the past year, he often heard updates about Emma through Julia. He also knew she had found a boyfriend who loved her very much. But now, she was actually getting married. He couldn't quite describe what he was feeling. Justin only felt his vision blur. Unable to clearly see the words on the page in front of him, he heard Julia's phone set to speaker, and a gentle voice came through. "Yes, it's time to settle down, after finally meeting the right person. I don't want to wait anymore." It was Emma. Her voice was soft, carrying a smile. Anyone could tell she was truly happy. While chatting with her, Julia packed her things. "That's true. But you're really heartless. You know, you're staying overseas and making me run back and forth. You don't even bother coming to see me," she joked as she zipped up her suitcase. Then turned and waved at Justin. "I'm off, brother." Justin said nothing. He just quietly watched as Julia's figure disappeared from sight. Even the sound of Emma's voice faded away from the phone. Only then did he slowly put down his pen. Pressing his hand against his forehead, tears fell. His heart ached so badly it felt like he could hardly breathe. So this was what it felt like, to watch the woman he loved marry someone else. He trembled, unable to stop his tears, suppressing the anguished sobs that escaped him. Another year passed. Julia also got married, and Emma returned to China to fulfill her promise of being her bridesmaid. He hadn't seen her for a long time. Justin controlled his emotions, holding back the turbulent feelings as he placed his sister's hand into her husband's hand at the wedding ceremony. But after that, his gaze inevitably lingered on Emma. She wore a simple but beautiful bridesmaid's dress, making his breath hitch, as if even breathing too hard would disturb this beautiful dream. After the wedding, Justin accompanied his sister to make toasts. When they reached Emma's table, "Emma, long time no see," Julia said cheerfully. Justin nodded calmly. "Long time no see, Emma." He extended his hand, clinking his glass lightly against hers, the crisp sound echoing in his excited heart. He wanted to say so many things. "You've changed a lot. How have you been? Are you happy?" All these impulses were halted by the arrival of a man who came up beside her. Her husband. The man wrapped his arm around Emma's waist and took the glass of wine from her hand. "Sorry, Emma's pregnant. She can't drink, so I'll drink for her." Emma's face flushed slightly. Julia, on the other hand, was utterly surprised. "You're pregnant? Emma, why didn't you tell me earlier? Do you not love me anymore?" Emma quickly explained, her cheeks tinged with shyness. "It's only been a month. I wanted to wait until it was more stable before telling you." "It's still too early." Julia didn't accept that explanation at all. She immediately claimed the title of godmother, carefully and joyfully placing her hand on Emma's flat belly. Emma's husband looked at her with eyes full of tenderness and affection, while Emma smiled with helpless happiness. The three of them stood together, but Justin realized he was just an outsider now. So this was what the best ending looked like. Becoming strangers. He stared dazedly at Emma's happy face, her gentle movements, watching her lean intimately into her husband's arms. His heart ached with a dull, unbearable pain. He raised his own glass, whispering to her as if to himself, "Congratulations for finally finding your happiness." After saying that, he drained the glass in one gulp, realizing for the first time how sharp and bitter wine could taste. Silently, he turned and left, No longer disturbing their joy, a gust of wind blew past. Emma looked up, only to find that the spot where he had been standing was now empty. She dazed for a moment, then gently shook her head. Now, everyone she cared about was already by her side.